Also going bowling out of the state of North Carolina is head coach Jerry Mack and the North Carolina Central Eagles. They are going to the second annual Celebration Bowl. Shout out to Jerry Mack and the Eagles, man. 3-time winners of the MEAC Conference, man. 3 times in a row, man. Just like that song said, 3 times in a row. North Carolina Central Eagles, kudos to you. Kudos to your fan base. You're going to be taking on the SWAC champion Grambling State Tigers in the Celebration Bowl in hot Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. It's going to be popping 10 down there on December 17th, man. North Carolina Central finished out their regular season at 9-2. Grambling is 11-1. Going to be a great matchup, man. A lot of talent on the North Carolina Central Eagles squad. Quarterback Malcolm Bell, first team all-conference at quarterback. Wide receiver Levantez Smith, first team all-conference. MEAC, man. Offensive lineman Brandon Parker and Terrence Wells, also first team all-conference. Defensively, North Carolina Central is stout. First team MEAC conference defensive lineman Frederick Henry Ajudua. Say that 3 times over. And defensive back Mike Jones. First team defensive back and first team return specialist. Mike Jones is a Swiss Army knife for the North Carolina Central Eagles. Also, LeGrand Harley Jr. and Reggie Miller linebackers, all MEAC conference, man. Their defense is stacked. A lot of success in Durham, North Carolina for head coach Jerry Mack. Hopefully, Athletic Director Dr. Ingrid Wicker-McCree can keep Jerry Mack around. There's going to be some teams coming after him because since he got there, they've done nothing but win at North Carolina Central, man. So they're going to be playing December 17th in the second annual Celebration Bowl. Congratulations to the North Carolina Central Eagles. Another team going bowling from the great state of North Carolina is the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Head coach Dave Doran looked kind of dicey. Looked very, very sketchy for a lot of parts of the year. Finished off the regular season at 6-6. Their reward is the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Going to be taking on SEC opponent Vanderbilt, who also finished their season at 6-6. Now, Vanderbilt really turned their season around, much like NC State. They won their last 2 games to become bowl eligible. Head coach Derek Mason was on the hot seat, took over for current Penn State coach James Franklin. Penn State doing big things, man. Going to the Rose Bowl to take on a very, very tough opponent in the Rose Bowl, man. So Penn State, kudos to you, but I digress. Vanderbilt is 6-6, going to be taking on 6-6 NC State in the Independence Bowl. Going to be a tough matchup for the Wolfpack. First of all, the game is December the 26th, a day after Christmas. So the Wolfpack fans have to spend Christmas holidays in Shreveport, Louisiana. Dave Doran, his squad is going to be taking on, again, Vanderbilt in the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Hopefully, man, the Wolfpack can go out with a victory, finish off their season 7-6. Matt Dave's outstanding running back for the Wolfpack. Also, they have a pretty good defensive front led by Mr. Chubb. Yeah, his last name is Chubb. I think it's a lot of Chubbs in college football. You got a Chubb at Wake Forest. You got a Chubb at Georgia. You have a Chubb at NC State. I'm being real juvenile right now, but, a lot of Chubbs in the world of college football. NC State is going to be taking on Vanderbilt again in the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana, December the 26th. Good luck to the NC State Wolfpack. And rounding out the other North Carolina team that's going to be going bowling, Larry Fedora and the UNC Tar Heels finished off the regular season 8-4, are going to be taking on Stanford 9-3 in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. That game is December the 30th. Now, both of these schools had aspirations of having really good seasons, playing for conference championships, and quite possibly playing in that Final Four. Didn't quite happen the way that either one of those schools hoped it would happen. Both of them, had pretty, disappointing seasons, although, winning seasons, 8-4 for the Tar Heels, 9-3 for the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford head coach David Shaw, they run the ball, man. He's a no-nonsense kind of coach. They run the ball at Stanford. Superback Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to give UNC a lot of problems. Hopefully Gene Chizik they have a month to get prepared for Stanford and their running attack. But, UNC, they can't stop the run, man. They couldn't stop the run if their lives depended on it. And I think their lives they're going to depend on it on, the 30th of December when the Tar Heels take on Stanford in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Hopefully, their offense can bail them out. Offensively, man, Carolina is top notch. Mitch Trubisky, a lot of NFL pundits have him going pretty high in the NFL draft. He's just a junior, so he does have an opportunity to come back, but I think he's going to go pro. Switzer at wide receiver. They have a stable of wide receivers at UNC. Elijah Hood, the running back, he's really good. So offensively, Carolina is really good, but defensively, they're suspect. I think it's going to be a shootout in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Hopefully, the Tar Heels can show improve on the defensive side of the ball, come out on top of that one, and we'll see what happens, man. A lot of teams from the state of North Carolina going bowling. NC State, North Carolina, Appalachian State, even North Carolina Central, they're going bowling. Now, Central is a interesting case. They're at the FCS level. They could have went to the FCS playoffs. The automatic bid for the MEAC, they don't go to the FCS playoffs because they made an agreement with the SWAC champion to play in the Celebration Bowl. So the North Carolina A&T represented the MEAC in the FCS playoffs, lost to University of Richmond in the first round. Come on, Aggies, man, do a little bit better than that. Aggie pride. Now, I didn't go to A&T. I went to Virginia State University, the Virginia State University, winners of multiple CIAA championships. Yeah, I digress. Got to shout out Virginia State anytime I can. But, North Carolina Central, they're going bowling. A&T, they didn't go bowling, but they went to the playoffs. UNC Pembroke went to the Division II playoffs. UNC Tar Heels, they're going bowling, going to the Sun Bowl. Appalachian State, they're going bowling, going to the Camellia Bowl. And North Carolina State is going bowling, going to the Independence Bowl. So who says that the state of North Carolina is only known for college basketball? We play good football around here, man. So don't rain on the parade of North Carolina football. We play good football around here, and it's showing with the number of teams that had good seasons and the number of teams that are going bowling. Really good football being played in the state of North Carolina. Congratulations as well to Winston-Salem State University, winners of the CIAA championship in football for the second consecutive season, knocking off Bowie State, man. The Rams, always a tough out. They went to the Division II playoffs as well. I love football, and in the state of North Carolina, we don't get the love and respect that we deserve for the football products that we put out collegiately. So salute to everyone in the state of North Carolina again. It's ATS, baby.
What you ain't heard?
Somebody done told you wrong, punk.
It's the All Things Sport Podcast with Damian Banks and Pierre Banks.
Latifah, party's right here.
On Speaker Radio. We're back with more of the All Things Sport Podcast with Damian Banks and Pierre Banks on Speaker Radio. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
What's happening? Welcome back to the All Things Sport Podcast. I am your host, Damian Banks. You're rocking with me. You're listening to ATS, as I affectionately call it. And before the break, just wanted to give a salute and shout out to all the great football being played in the state of North Carolina this season on the collegiate level. The Tar Heels, the Wolfpack, the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, the Eagles of North Carolina Central, they're all going bowling. UNC Pembroke went to the Division II playoffs. We had great football being played this year. Campbell had a pretty good season. Shaw didn't have the season that they wanted to have, but head coach Adrian Jones, they're on the come up. A lot of good football being played in the state of North Carolina, man. All the schools, Western Carolina, they play pretty good football. and Elon, they play pretty good football. All the teams in the state of North Carolina, I salute you, man. UNC Charlotte, shout out to UNC Charlotte. Their program is on the uptick. So I wanted to give praise to the football teams in North Carolina, man, because this is Tobacco Road, and mostly people only think about basketball when they think about the state of North Carolina. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm watching the Cowboys and the Giants. A minute left in the game. 10-7 Giants. The Cowboys have the ball on the 2-yard line. And looks like Dak Prescott set 3rd and 10. Looks like the Giants are trying to hand the Cowboys their second loss, man. They lost the first game of the season to the Giants, have won 11 straight. And it looks like they may lose their second game of the season to the Giants, man. You can't write this stuff up, man. You can't write this stuff in sports. Sports is awesome, man, but I digress. We were talking about college football before the break. Salute to all the North Carolina teams who had great football seasons. And I wanted to bring back a segment that I hadn't done in a while on the All Things Sport Podcast. It's called Bruh for Real. And we're going to keep with the theme of college football, and we're going to talk about the coaching carousel in college football. I think it's crazy. It's outright shameful that student athletes can't, leave schools and transfer schools, and it'd be a seamless transfer, seamless transition. They have to sit out a year, or they have to sit out 2 years in some cases if you transfer from one ACC school to another ACC school when you're an undergrad. Now, there are some exceptions. If you graduate in 3 years, you can use that grad year to transfer interconference, and you don't have to sit out a year. You can transfer to another school and you don't have to sit out a year. But if you are a underclassman and you transfer from, Georgia to the University of North Carolina, you have to sit out a year. And I think that's stupid. I think that's crazy because coaches leave, coaches come and go, and they don't have to sit out a year. They don't have to sit out. They can leave the University of Tennessee and they can go to, West Boise University or some arbitrary school, and they don't have to sit out. Bruh, for real? Look at this coaching carousel that's happening in college football. And I'm not even talking about all of the schools, because there's going to be so many more. It's going to be teams who fire and hire coaches. You have Charlie Strong at the University of Texas. He's out. Tom Herman leaves Houston to replace Charlie Strong at Texas. So Major Applewhite replaces Tom Herman at the University of Houston. Applewhite was the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator the past 2 seasons at Houston, so that's not that bad. He's not leaving another school to go to Houston. But you got Mark Helfrich. He's out at Oregon. Replacing him, Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart is gone from the University of South Florida. University of South Florida replaces Willie Taggart with Charlie Strong. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Mark Rule leaves Temple. Temple had a great season, man. AAC champions. Leaves Temple to go to Baylor. Baylor lost Art Briles because of that scandal. It's not a scandal. Art Briles was crazy, not reporting sexual assaults of his players. Jim Grobe took over for a year at Baylor, but Matt Rule leaves Temple to replace Jim Grobe. Don't even know who's going to replace Matt Rule at Temple yet. They haven't named a coach. So you got Tommy Tuberville out at Cincinnati. One of Urban Meyer's assistants, Luke Fickell, is going to replace Tommy Tuberville at Cincinnati. I say all that to say this. These coaches can come and go as they please with no repercussion. They don't have to sit out a year. They don't have to do anything when it comes to leaving in schools. I think it's wrong. Players have to sit out. Coaches don't have to sit out. It's crazy, man. They can come and go as they please, man. You got these coaches going into these players' houses, selling them a beautiful dream of going to school A. And yeah, man, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for you. These coaches are telling these parents that they're going to be father figures to these young men, they're going to take care of their children. They're going to look after them, make sure that they go to class, make sure they do the right things. And then they leave after a year to take a better job. And I'm not saying don't take a better job if you're a coach. Don't, Matt Rule, you can leave Temple and go to Baylor. I mean, because that's a step